Before we start in with the word problems, we'll start on a little bit of pre-work. When you're working word problems, sometimes it's helpful to exchange words with mathematical symbols. For example, anytime you see the word is, you can replace it with an equals sign. Anytime you see the word of, you can replace it with multiplication or times. The word sum or sum of means addition or add. The word difference can be tricky. Difference means subtraction. The hard part about subtraction, though, is order matters. 5 minus 2 is different than 2 minus 5. So when they say the difference between 5 and 2, you take the first one minus the last one. So 5 minus 2. The difference between A and B, again, you would take the first one, A, minus the last one, B. 6 less than 10. Well, first off, think about that. What is 6 less than 10? 4. What math process did you use to get that? Did you do 6 minus 10 or did you do 10 minus 6? 6 less than 10 is 4. You did 10 minus 6. That's one of the tricky ones, is why I pointed out. 6 less than 10 actually means 10 minus 6. The order is kind of backwards. So 6 less than n would be written n minus 6. A common mistake is 6 minus n, but to say 6 less than, you take the n first and then minus 6. Consecutive numbers. Consecutive numbers means in a row. So like an example of consecutive numbers would be 4, 5, and 6, or 10, 11, 12, or 18, 19, 20. Let's look at the relationship between the numbers. 4 and 5. 5 is 1 more than 4, right? 4 and 6. 6 is 2 more than 4, right? So if you are calling your first number n, you would call your second number n plus 1. You would call your third number n plus 2. Consecutive even or odd numbers. So, for example, that might be something like 8, 10, and 12. Look at the relationship between those numbers. Between 8 and 10, there's a difference of 2. And between 8 and 12, there's a difference of 4. Any consecutive numbers would work like that. Like, let's say I had, I'm just making up another example of consecutive even or odd numbers. Let's say you had 15, 17, and 19. The difference between 15 and 17 is 2. The difference between 15 and 19 is 4. So any consecutive even or odd numbers, no matter what they are, if you say that the first one is n, then the second one would be 2 greater than that, n plus 2. And the third number would be 4 greater than that first one, so n plus 4. These can be tricky. If you have questions, make sure to write them down and ask them during class. Another thing to know is that whenever they say number in the statement, you can replace it with the variable, an x or an n. So if you're doing a question, the difference between 10 and 2 times a number is 2. Change that statement into an equation. Is means equals. The 2 will be on one side of the equation, and this expression will be on the other side of the equation. So the difference between 10 and 2 times a number. Difference means subtract. So 10 minus 2 times a number would be 2 times a number, 2n. Is means equals 2. Once you have your equation set up, you can just solve it like normal. To solve for n, I would minus 10 from both sides. And divide by negative 2 on both sides. Again, I'm going to change my statement. 8 less than 3 times a number is, that will be equals 4. So 8 less than 3 times a number. Well, 8 less than, that means you do the other thing first. So 3 times a number, and then 8 less than, that means minus 8 is equals 4. Then I solve like normal. Add 8 to both sides. (3n = 12). Divide by 3 on both sides. N equals 4. 2/3 of a number is 8. So my is my equals. Of means multiply. So 2/3 of a number, that means times n, is equals 8. I'm just changing my sentence into an equation. To undo timesing by 2/3, I multiply by the reciprocal. So I'll multiply both sides by 3/2. This cancels, and I have n equals 24 halves, which reduces to 12. N is 12. We'll work on this problem now. Find 3 consecutive odd integers whose sum is 39. I think I put this on the wrong page, so I'll do my work above the problem. The first thing is, when you're dealing with consecutive, odd, or even integers, your first one will be n, your second one will be n plus 2, and your third one will be n plus 4. See part 1 for explanation on this. So if their sum is 39, that means that when you add the first one, n, plus the second one, n plus 2, plus the third one, n plus 4, when you sub the first, second, and third, you'll get 39. So now when I solve for n, I'll be solving for the first number. So let's see, I have to solve for n in this equation, I have to add up my n's. So I have 1n plus 1n plus 1n gives me 3n. And plus 2 and plus 4 adds together to be plus 6 equals 39. And now I can solve for n. So minus 6 from both sides. 3n equals 33. Divide both sides by 3. N equals 11. So that means my first number, which is n, is 11. Oops, sorry, 11. My second number is n plus 2, or 13. My third number is n plus 4, which is 15. Consecutive odd integers that add to be 39. A note that you will not receive full credit for just writing the answer. In order to receive full credit on a test, you would have to show the algebra, not just get the answer. Next, this problem. Find 3 consecutive even integers such that 3 times the second is 4 more than the sum of the first and the third. Whew. Okay, 3 times the second will be equals 4 more than the sum of the first and the third. So let's do this first. 3 times the second. The second will be n plus 2. So 3 times the second would look like this. Is will be equals 4 more than. That means 4 plus. The sum of, that means add the first and the third. N is the first, n plus 4 is the third. There's our equation. Now we just need to solve. I'll distribute. Add my like terms. And solve for n. Minus 3n on both sides. You could also do minus 2n on both sides. I want to undo what's been done to n, so I'll subtract 8 on both sides. Divide both sides by -1. N is equal to 2. So 3 consecutive even integers. Our first one's 2, so our second one, add 2 to that, and our second one, add 4 to the original, or just add 2 again to get 2, 4, and 6.